Good morning. I can't hear that. Good morning. Fantastic. Well, with everything that's been going on the last couple of months and that, I've been finding myself coming constantly back to one question. How can I help? How can I help the kids down in the border, on the border? How can I help different situations that are showing up? And I found that I get, at times, kind of angry. And that anger can be a really powerful emotion. In fact, when I was about 16, my brothers were 7 and 8, and somebody, a teenager who was 6.5 feet or so a little good deal taller than me, had grabbed my brother, my younger brother, and was holding a knife to his throat. And my older brother, a year older, came and got me. I was so angry that I ran out and I started towards this kid, and he ran. I mean, I'm not much to contend with, but I was so angry that power, I learned that power was extremely potent. It went before me like a wave, and the kid couldn't handle it. Anger can be very much a power, but when we use it in the wrong way, it isn't. And when a child hits another child, a lot of times what they get is hit back. And nothing gets solved. Nothing gets resolved. And you're seeing a lot of this with the riots and stuff. The anger goes back and forth. Well, I learned from a parenting class that what happens is when you come back with anger that way, it gives the other person an excuse not to do anything. So when you have a child at home, if you react in anger, oh, they spilt the milk, what are you doing, and all this, it gives the child an excuse not to do what is necessary, instead of coming back and saying, oh, you made a mess, clean it up. That resolves it, that causes change. But we all have choice, whether we want to stay in the angry mode, whether we want to look at what is the problem, or whether we want to move into a more loving atmosphere, like I just mentioned, and get something done. So when we're angry, it creates a chain reaction of anger. And I think you can all see this with the news that has been going on. It's like one thing causes another, but nothing is resolved. Nothing is really changed. It's just the anger and the frustration. And I choose not to be there anymore. I choose not to be there. And one of the ways that I find that I get myself out of this anger is by looking at what is good. What good is happening? Well, nothing is ever good about taking children away from their parents and the situations that we're seeing. But on the other hand, look at how many people it has galvanized into action. How many people are coming together for the good of the community, for trying to right this understanding. In fact, in California, there was a couple. I was really happy to hear this, but in California here, there was a couple that decided that they were going to raise $1,500 because they thought, well, with $1,500, maybe one family could get the lawyer they needed and at least start the procedures so that they could get back with their child and take care of their immigration problems. They put it on the internet in hoping to raise that money. So many people came together that they raised over $16 million and have sent it to an organization which is for the education and the taking care of the lawyers and all this. And on top of it, one lawyer decided that he would do pro bono work for any of the immigrants coming through. And he convinced his firm to help him, the lawyers in his firm. Lawyers from all over the United States started calling and saying, how can we help? How can we assist? Can you get us to the people that we need to get to so that we can help move this along? Pro bono. They aren't getting paid. And this is a chain reaction of love. This is a moving forward in a way that is started with love and then expanded out. And because it was started with love, it spreads like wildfire. Spreads like wildfire. Love is as potent as that anger I felt with my little brother. And I've had that at other times, had that love just explode out of me, and I had the same reaction. It works. It works. That's not to say you shouldn't go down and help. It's not to say that you shouldn't donate money if you feel so moved. It's not to say that you don't take action. But it does say that treatment and affirmative prayer works. It works in marvelous ways. And we're going to explore that a little bit more. So what is a spiritual chain reaction? Well, a spiritual chain reaction that Ernest Holmes says, the laboratory in which we work is our own mind, the instrument of our own thoughts, and the method is affirmative prayer and meditation. Meditation opens up our hearts. It gives us direction. It allows us to use this power that we have within us to focus it like a laser beam. The affirmative prayer does too, but it is more active. It actually starts putting the thought out there. Because first we have the emotion. We have a reaction to something that happens. That emotion comes into play. And then we have a choice as to whether we want the negative part of that emotion or we want the positive part of that emotion, right? Then we have the idea of maybe something that we could do, some sort of action we can take. And from that action, and the power of the focus of our emotions, it moves that treatment forward, and it's a very positive movement. In fact, we were talking about this a little earlier with somebody. Did you know that you could treat for something as simple as a hangnail on your little finger, and if you're treating for what is causing it, for what is the emotional back part of it, it will affect your whole life. It will change your whole life, just treating for that. And I know many people in this room have had tremendous results with this, as I have, as Diane has had, as Chris has had. In fact, many people, if you start talking to your neighbors and that, you'll find it has saved their lives. It has saved their lives literally. Before I came here, I was very suicidal as a young person, very suicidal, and I had tried to commit suicide 2 or 3 times, actually. After I got here and started studying what it was all about, what I was about, I was able to let go of that completely. I have no more thoughts of suicide. And if I start to get depressed, it's like, you're not going to stay here. It just isn't who you are anymore. So first, we have to build that power within us, build that emotional sense of joy, of love, of peace. I like love. I focus on love. But you can focus on the attribute you want to, because they're all powerful. They're all so interconnected that you can't separate one from another. So if you take this power and you start using it, hold on a minute, what was I saying? Ever get that way where you're talking and you suddenly forget what you're saying? Anyway, let me go on. Oh, I remember now. You have been given a little piece of paper that looks like this. It's a prayer that Ernest Holmes had. And this prayer, if you use it daily, it helps change your attitude. It helps bring those emotions stronger. There's more in the back if you want to pick up a couple more sheets. Let me read it. It says, I know nothing but good can go from me, and nothing but good can return. It is my inward desire that everything I touch, every person I think of, shall be blessed and helped. It is my affirmative prayer which I completely accept. You hear those two words? That's a clue. Completely accept. That even as I pass people in the street, some silent influence of good shall reach from me to them. And so it is. And this doesn't matter who the them is. The them can be your family, it can be your coworkers, it can be friends, it can be anybody. But you will find that this happens. Just as was read earlier, joy is contagious. Enthusiasm is contagious. Have you ever watched a baby laugh? Could you stop laughing yourself while you were watching this baby laugh hysterically? I can't usually. And I used to run the children's church a lot, so I had a lot of laughter in the mistakes and in the joys. But what we want to do is really start this spiritual chain reaction. So I'm going to give you a physical example because we've talked about the others. So imagine for a moment that this is your emotions. This is the power. This is your emotions. And without anything in front of it, nothing happens with those emotions. Many times we have emotions and we just stagnate them or stop them. But if we imagine this is our intent of what we want to do, and we put it together with our emotions, we get bubbles. Not really. We start producing results. And the results multiply and grow. And you'll find that you have the idea, other people have the ideas too. And these results can keep growing and growing. And that's what we want. Especially in this day and time, we want our results to grow. And I will tell you, when we come together as a group with an intention of unity, with an intention of love, our results are much higher than they would be individually. Although even individually, you'll find that your life will change. You'll find that you're finding the good things in life instead of the negative things in life. And a couple ways to do this is if you don't know affirmative prayer, I would suggest you take classes, because classes really help build your understanding. For instance, if you want a new house, you don't treat for the house. You don't pray for the house necessarily. You pray for what the house will give you emotionally. What it would give you emotionally. So for one person, it might be security. Another person, it might be roominess. Another person, it might be comfort. It could be a whole lot of things. Then from there, you can move into an understanding that Da 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 da. I am pulling an absolute blank. Hold on. Sorry about that. You can move into to having the results that you want. So another way of doing this, if you're not real sure, is with that class that's coming up with the power of 8, because 8, even 3, 8, a dozen people have much more power. That's why in the Bible it says, when 3 or more get together, you have magnificent results. And that's what we want. We need them nowadays. That is a way we can help. We can help, because some of us can't go running off down to the border to help that way, or running to Washington and help that way. Although there are things in the local town, I understand, that are happening. I guess Friday? I think it's Friday. They're having a special thing. You'll have to look on the web or whatever, but they're having a special thing for unity. But we can help by creating unity within us, by creating unity in our families, by creating unity in our workplace, by creating unity in our lives in every aspect. And this is so important at this time of life right now. And one of the reasons I bring this up is because I found that in order to really bring forth these positive emotions in me, I had to look at what was positive in the situation. And it doesn't seem like there's a lot of positiveness any place. But we now know there's a group of people that are angry. Angry. There's a group of people who are scared that maybe we didn't even see, because we've got such a wonderful group here. And maybe our friends here and everything, so we're closeted, we're comforted, we're taken care of as we sit in the church and with our friends around us. But there are a lot of people that don't have that. And we can be the place of strength. We can be the strength of power for those people through our prayers, through our understanding. And believe me, right now, the government and everybody needs those prayers. Whether you agree with what's going on or you don't agree with it, it's vital that they have support, and they have support through our prayers. Wonderful. Oh, so understand that love is a power. Love is a power that we all have, that we can express. And if you haven't had a very loving relationship, say the prayer, do treatment for love. Get that sense of well-being within you. Then meditate on it, speak it, act it, be it. You want to become what it is that you want to express. Charles Barker, in The Power of Decision, says something that has stuck with me all the years that I've been a minister, and it's stop your complaining. Stop all complaining. And a great way of helping with this is put a rubber band on your wrist, and every time you catch yourself complaining, snap that rubber band. It's bringing it conscious, is what it's doing. It's bringing it conscious so that you can take care of it. And in a sense, that's what's happening right now, is we are seeing parts of society that are being brought conscious so we can look at it. Look at it. He also says, stop telling others of your unhappiness. In other words, don't keep repeating your story. We all have stories of oh, I'm not feeling good, and this happened, and that happened, and you find yourself together with somebody else, and you try to top their story. You can stop that. And I found that in order to stop it, I had to figure out what to say. because I was so used to being in groups like that, I wasn't sure how to break it. So I found myself starting to say, wow, what are you doing this weekend? Anything to break that sense of, let me better you. let me be worse off than you've been. So we can do that. We can do that. Start finding things to praise. Start seeking good points in your relatives. That can be a hard one sometimes. In your coworkers, in your friends, and in the government. Your friends are probably the easiest ones to find good points in, but you can do it. And you know what? Once you get people starting on those good points, it becomes the challenge the other way. Who can say the better good point? My husband tells jokes, and so he ends up with people who try to better his jokes, which is fun. But let go of your story. Let it go, because it doesn't do anything but hold you in a box. It doesn't allow you to grow. It doesn't allow this chain reaction to take place. It doesn't let you move in any way. So start a new story. Start a story of health. Start a story of joy. Show your dog to people. Show your kids to people. Anything to be happy, to be on that positive side, because it does make a difference. And if you'll please join me, we'll do a treatment just for that. There is only one life, and that life is my life. It's the life of each person in this room, for we are one. We aren't separated. We aren't divided. We are one. And I recognize this as my right. I recognize it as who I am. I am one with Spirit. I am one with love. And I choose right this moment to use that love, to use that joy and peace that I have within me to change the world. To change the world. One person makes a difference. We have seen that over and over again. One person can change the world, and I choose to be that person. And I ask that all those around me join with me to do this. And even though we're all one, we appear separate, but no longer. No longer. I see everybody as a reflection of myself. I see the love when I look in their eyes. If there's fear, I try to conquer that with love by addressing what they're afraid of. If they're sad, I try to address that, put my arm around them and give them comfort. Whatever it is, I choose to be the love, to be the joy that I wish to express now and every day of my life. And I send a special sense of unity, of love, of this sense of oneness to the Senate, to the Congress, to the President, to all the people who are working with on the border with the refugees, so that each child, I imagine in my mind that each child is held and comforted and loved and is going back to their family with a sense of grace and health. I am the power, the grace, the glory of the universe. because I am spirit in action. And as I release this treatment, I release it knowing that it is done now, in this ever-present moment. And together we say, and so it is.